Top 5 rogue decks for, really, the August 2022 format. Don't make the 30% of you guys that have not wanted to smash the crap and subscribe and smash the wing climb up to 100k ladder here. Number 1 on our list here is going to be Morphtronic FTK. Now, before you're like, oh my god, Morphtronic FTK is a rogue deck, Robbie? Well, here's the thing. Rogue every month gives you a chance to see some new flavor in the format here. Now, one of the, I guess, left field things that a lot of people might not particularly be looking at here or very intrigued with is Morphtronic FTK with Cannon Soldier, things like that, is going to catch a lot of people really off guard in today's format. All right, I mean, it's not going to be 100% consistent every single game, because hand traps exist and things like that. But if you're going to a nice, 16-man local and you want to go farm some store credit, fire up the old Morphtronic FTK machine here and see how many people that you can make salty as the day goes through, right? I'm not saying to be, the biggest jerk in the room, but if you want to farm some free store credit and you know what you're doing, you're taking these huge, infinite loop turns, gaining infinite life as you're pinging down your opponent. Hey, man, if they happen to have an interruption, it's not like you can't still gain infinite life at the end of the loop. So yes, I think the Morphtronic FTK is going to be one of the most hilarious decks in the room because a lot of players just aren't going to know how to really handle what the deck wants to do and where it's aiming to set up at this point in time. So give it a shot. All right, you have nothing to lose. I mean, most of the Morphtronic new stuff isn't going to cost you at all. They're commons in the set. Oh no, you got to get 3 Sarujas for the extra deck. Go read the TCG Player article on the deck. All right, they had a fantastic example of what you can do to play the Morphtronic deck. But is it tier 2? It's fun. That's what you've got to see here. Next up is Fish, or, Goatee, however you want to go about it, whichever identifier you want to do, because I'm specifically talking about this and not the Shark deck. So, Fish as a whole, at the moment, it's a very interesting deck. The deck feels massively underwhelming right now. The first wave of the Goatee support that we got was pretty good. All right, it set up some pretty interesting things. I'm glad that we finally have interaction points for Fish. I can't believe those cards came out in Generation Force and we forgot about them until now. All right, so Fish and Kicks. I'm glad to finally see that we got the chance to finally do something with these. But unfortunately, this was just the Wave 1 support. Now, with Super Ancient Deep Sea Quokanth, my best friend in the whole wide world way back in the day, finally we can do something with the deck. Problem is you only got 6 ways to get to it, by either 3 of them being drawing it, or you got a small world to get to that thing, which means you got to play small world bridges in your deck as well. And that doesn't sound massively entertaining to a lot of the masses out here to be playing a deck that relies heavily on this. But I think as a rogue contender for the month, something to have a lot of fun with out here. I wouldn't underestimate the deck, to be truthfully honest with you. There will be some games where it'll genuinely build a board, really catch you off guard, like Libromancer did. So many people, just kicked Libromancer to the side and was like, oh my god, this deck is so trash. I mean, it was to a lot of people at the very beginning of its life, right? The deck just looked so bad on paper, but you fast forward here to the current point in time, both it and Fish seem kind of cool. Next up here is going to be, I want to mention Marincess, Code Talkers, just everything Cyberse underneath the same little banner here. Marincess isn't going to gain as much out of Circular as everything else Cyberse related, but I still want to mention them as a rogue deck here as a subsection to this, because Marincess definitely took a lot of people off guard at the NAWCQ. A lot of people were like, oh my god, Marincess is a competing deck? Oh yeah, yeah, because players weren't able to, take 3 seconds to read what the cards did, and they lost to the deck. Good job. Now, Circular enters into the fray here. Now, for those of you that might not know this, especially in the Adagnister deck here, this streamlines your link climbing it makes some pretty big stuff possible through one card, all right? Like, when this card first got announced, a lot of people looked at all the Code Talker stuff and was like, these are free one-card extenders. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you can do just with Circular's existence. Now, how much of an add you'll get to, like, the basic Code Talker deck has really been yet to be seen. If you want my personal opinion, I don't think Code Talker's still going to take off just yet. I don't know what more you can give to Code Talker at this point for them to be a viable deck, but I feel like we've hot potatoed so hard at this point that we've just kind of missed out. And then, of course, I think the best one that obviously gets the best out of this is adding Mister, because you just splash it on into your existing, I get locked into all the Cyberse stuff anyway, and you're basically good to go for all do's and times with that strategy. So I do think that Circular does add an interesting layer and an interesting dynamic to what already exists here. But at the end of the day, you love to see Yu-Gi-Oh players just go, I don't know if it's going to be good enough here. Now, next up, I want to give a shout out here to Plunder Patrol. Frickin' Douglas Haddad out here, I think, has become the most well-known player playing this particular deck. But the thing is, there are other players out here that do specialize in Plunder Patrol. Now, one of the biggest things that I think helps out Plunder Patrol at the end of the day is the fact that the deck has access to the Brave package. I mean, I think 95% of the variations do end up playing it, and for some reason, if you're not playing the package, I think everybody's just looking at you with, like, confusing eyes. They're like, what's going on out here? Like, why are you not playing, you know, the best capitalization package that Plunder could ever want? I mean, having a Wandering Griffin Rider for an Omni Negate? I think you're doing yourself a disservice out here. Now, especially, like, in a format now where you're ramping up, you know, dark elements and things like that out here, I do think the Plunder Patrol will ride in and catch a lot of people off guard this format. Also, don't they get access to, like, our Ultimate Slayer as well as, like, an extra deck, like, killer now? Like, I understand that, like, Plunder does use its extra deck for, like, the large shifts, but I think, like, post-side decking, I think them getting access to Ultimate Slayer, I could be wrong. That seems like a very hypothetical thing, at least from my standpoint here. Seeing the, like, Ultimate Slayer is just one of those cards that helps out everything. But I look at Plunder Patrol, I'm like, wow, you know, this card really does ramp up some of your overall interactions that you really want to have. Plus, you know, things that you normally couldn't out by not having an appropriate attributed chip, you can basically do now via Ultimate Slayer. So, just my 2 cents, seems really good in my opinion, but we'll have to wait and see how Plunder adapts. Mighty. How they will cover the new 7 C's of the new format here. And the last deck I want to talk about here is Rikka. Now, Rikka gets what? The best field spell that they ever could have helped for? Like, giving you once again the ability to... Okay, so you get locked into what? Like, plant? That's fine. You get the ability to set a Rikka spell, a trap cartridge from your deck, and then if you attribute an opponent's monster to activate a Rikka effect, you get to tribute one of your opponents. That's pretty darn good. The thing was, like, Rikka got massively overshadowed in the OCG by how many of the things that came out in Power of the Elements. Because, like, obviously when you look at Power, you go, okay, so hero stuff, and you see, you know, Tier Elements, Sprite, and then to a lesser form like Exo Sisters, and then you're like Circular. Like, Rikka just gets downplayed so hard. So many players are just like, just kick it to the side. Like, there's no point to look at this deck. No. Rikka did have a little bit of success very early on in the OCG, and I do think that the deck is very much worth looking at as a rogue contender here, because once again, if you take Rikka to locals and you play against, you know, your standard player who hasn't read a single darn card, enjoy your free win, all right? Like, players that don't educate themselves and things are going to be the freest chicken tendies for you. And that's really what you want to see at the end of the day, is just you take those free wins where you can get them. And I think a lot of stuff on this list will lead you to a very, very, very good position in the upcoming metagame. So, what do you guys think about all of this? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. Make sure you guys smash, leave a crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. And I will see your beautiful faces back here later today with some more cool awesome content. Peace out, guys. Patrons, thank you. Rikka!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.